have a story, and yours isn't much different from mine. My intent here is to touch your hearts, motivate, and hopefully inspire. VHL, von pulling down. No one in my family had ever heard of those words before 1962. In 1962, we would leave home in the morning and play all day and be back when the streetlights came on. John F. Kennedy was our president and gas was 28 cents a gallon. Those were the days. She was almost 25 years old, 5'2", barely 100 pounds. She had auburn hair and green eyes. She was kind, generous, creative, smart, and fearless, and she was beautiful. She never complained about the hand she was dealt. She was our mom. It was July 1962 when she woke up without the vision in one of her eyes. I was just 5 years old. I understood what blind meant, but everything else was lost on us 5-year-olds' level of understanding. My dad tried his best to explain what was happening in our home and how our lives would change. But somehow, someone forgot to tell my mom, because on that very same morning, I was told to jump in the car Mom's driving me to school. So I did. I jumped in the car, and I was standing on the floorboards in the back seat, straddling the hump of a 1940-something Buick, hanging onto the front seat just behind my mother's right shoulder. We pulled out of the driveway, and I'm waiting for someone to remind my mom that she couldn't see. We drove up to the stop sign at the corner of Hamilton and Phillips. We both looked both ways, and boom, she drove over the curb. I thought we were all gonna die. I remember this being very traumatic for me. I refused to ever get in the car with her again. She laughed when telling this story. She said she had one good eye left. But she didn't drive for very much longer after that. My mom would learn Braille. She walked with a white cane, and she learned how to cook. She got a guide dog named Enid. She took classes at Mount Sac. She rode the bus everywhere. She was so brave. She was amazing. She was our hero. My family wasn't much different than your family in the 1960s, except my mom was blind and she had this thing called VHL. We never heard that word before. No one in our family had it, and at the time we were told it's just an eye disease, and if you don't get it by the time you're 20, you're not going to get it. Okay, it's an interesting choice of words. We had annual eye exams. My mother was adopted by her stepfather and didn't know anything about her biological family. But many years later, during our family tree, I found that her father died at 41 years old of a massive heart attack, just a few months after I was born. Her grandfather died from a stroke. Her uncle was paralyzed. Still, no one made the connection to VHL. My mother's brother, my Uncle Bill, was diagnosed with kidney cancer in 1980. I don't remember anyone saying it was related to VHL, but this was the first kidney cancer in our family. My uncle passed away in 1981, he was 41 years old. In 1993, we changed our insurance at work, and I was going through the booklet looking for a PCP, and I saw a familiar name, Dr. Bradley Strauss. He was the doctor that diagnosed my mother in 1962. I had just had a checkup 6 months earlier, but I made the appointment anyway. Dr. Strauss was a very kind, soft-spoken doctor. He always had a way of easing my mind and making sure I wasn't too afraid. He's also one of the founders of Jules Stein Institute at UCLA, among many, many, many other titles. We're gonna be at Jules Stein tomorrow. He said he remembered my mom. It wasn't long before a steady stream of doctors, interns, residents all came in to look at my retinas. I guess they don't see too many patients with a VHL. I was in a dark room. They had taken photos and they were now on a light wall, rows of these yellow and orange globes with red lines that looked like lightning strikes and little clusters of blood vessels. The walk back to my office was a blur. I didn't cry, I wasn't afraid or worried. Honestly, I was more concerned about the conversation I was about to have with my mom. I sat at my desk for a while before calling. I'm a mom. I knew how I would feel hearing those words. I heard her sigh. Tears streamed down my face. I told her I was okay and I'm gonna be okay. But I wanted to jump to the phone and comfort her. was 35 years old. Within a week, appointments were made for my brother and sister and our kids. My brother was diagnosed that day, and Dr. Stratzma offered to treat him at no cost because my brother didn't have health insurance. As parents, we hope to pass along certain familial traits. VHL is not one of them. The following year, my sweet, beautiful Shauna, just 19 years old, had been having a series of headaches. They'd give her a shot and send her home. And we weren't too alarmed because migraines were in our family, but this time it was different. She was having trouble standing and her vision was blurry. CT scans would show that she had 4 cysts blocking the flow of fluid flowing freely between the spine and the brain. I tried hard not to cry as my little girl spoke with the hospital clergy, and we signed custody documents giving me custody of her 2 children in case surgery didn't go well. This would be a ritual we practiced again and again over the years. I remember kissing my daughter and telling her I loved her and that everything was going to be okay. I'd be waiting right here when we got back. I stood in the middle of the hallway as they wheeled her away, not knowing that that was true. This was our first brain surgery. The surgery went well, and the neurosurgeon asked if Shauna had been out of the country because the cysts looked like parasitic cysts. I asked him if it was VHL. He didn't know. A few days later, Shauna had another surgery to place a shunt. We had excellent insurance, and I was allowed to stay with her for the entire 3 weeks. Later surgeries, insurance would have given her 3 or 4 days. On the day we left the hospital, they changed her bandages and clumps of her beautiful long hair fell into her lap. We cried. This was our first brain surgery. Shauna had 7 brain surgeries and they're currently watching a new one. She has a FEO and kidney cysts. Her son, Devontae, has had both adrenal glands removed due to the FEOs. He was 13 when an ER doctor noticed he had high blood pressure. They told Shauna to take him to his primary care physician, but never mentioned it was urgent or an emergency. 3 weeks later, his blood pressure was 187 over 110. It should have been 90 over 60. He was taken to Children's Hospital in Orange County. They were planning surgery right away. And I contacted the VHL Alliance because I read in the newsletter that you have to be blocked before you're doing any surgery on a patient with a FEO. They put me in touch with Dr. Michael Ye, who will meet tomorrow, and conferred with the doctors at CHOP. The surgery went well. Devontae had another surgery this past May. He's learning how to manage without adrenal glands and a lifetime of steroids. By the way, Dr. Ye is a part of the VHL Clinical Care Center in Suellen. He's an amazing gifted surgeon. He's operated on many people in our family. And this was the first VHL in our family. We always believed that VHL was an eye disease, but we didn't know there were brain and spinal tumors, FEOs, kidney cancer, or pancreatic cancer. The VHL Alliance has always been there to help us navigate our way through the maze of diagnosis. They not only help fund cancer research, they provide patients with information and resources. A lot of us have to advocate for ourselves and family members. We must educate our healthcare providers. The VHL Alliance gives us the tools. In our family, most of us were diagnosed through eye exams. My son Roland, who you just met a few moments ago, was newlywed and expecting their first child and decided to have a DNA test just to be sure. He never had any symptoms, and he had regular eye exams. When the results came in, he had everything VHL had to offer: retinas, brain, spine, adrenal glands, kidneys, and pancreas. When he should have been enjoying being newlywed and expecting his little boy, he was scheduling surgeries. Eyes were lasered, followed by a bilateral adrenalectomy, then a Whipple. He was in the hospital for 23 days. He's had 2 surgeries to remove kidney tumors. He's currently managing without adrenal glands, not to mention taking vitamins and minerals to offset a missing pancreas. Staying away from the kids with sniffles, managing everyday stresses, medicine interactions, and heaven forbid, a crisis. This was our first Whipple. By the way, Susan, thank you for being my go-to person when it comes to adrenal glands. Roland's son, not quite 2 years old, was diagnosed with VHL. My entire family has been affected by this dreadful disease. I've talked about my kids and grandkids, but I have many cousins with VHL. And I myself am not defined by VHL. It's something I think about every day, but I used to never talk about. That all changed in 2010. That's when I started to tell my story. I've learned that every one of us has a story. My mother had always wished that she could do more with her $25 more than her $25 annual donation. She was 71 years old. She was courageous, larger than her 5-foot frame. Her hair was gray now, and so are her eyes, from the cataracts. She isn't but 5 feet tall now, and probably weighs a bit over 100 pounds. She never complained. In